Important, that is critical, because believing that and committing your life to Christ is the only way to escape hell.
To protect you, you'll be frightened and distrustful at best, and dead at worst.
At first, I was really frightened. Can you imagine a man my size?
I think all of this is something to be frightened of and wary of. That's not it at all. In fact, the main reason I want us to be asking these questions, and it's so interesting
enough not to be surprised or frightened about this. They're skilled at making occasional little positive sounds.
But it seemed too dangerous just then to be mad at our parents, and I was frightened instead. There was also a part...
"Don't be frightened," said my employer, laughing at the start which I had given.
But she was terribly frightened all the time at the thought that it might be hungry, in which case it would be very likely to eat.
And don't be frightened to look at yourself. This is the time to really...
Tends to be a little frightened of the night. We can go to places at night.
From what it was at night, when I was frightened and thought I was to be burned alive. I once told my father one of her
business the best it can be.
I don't think Starbucks are at all frightened of us. You know, we're a microscopic blip on their proverbial posterior.
And if I did, I should be thrown into the black pit. I was not frightened at all, though Nurse was, and I never forgot about it, because when I shut my eyes and it was quite quiet, and I was all alone, I could see them again, very faint and far away, but very splendid, and little bits of the song they sang came into my head, but I couldn't sing it. I was 13, nearly 14, when I had a very singular adventure, so strange that the day on which it happened is always called the White Day. My mother had been dead for more than a year, and in the morning I had lessons, but they let me go out for walks in the afternoon. And this afternoon I walked a new way, and a little brook led me into a new country. But I tore my frock getting through some of the difficult places, as the way was through many bushes, and beneath the low branches of trees, and up thorny thickets on the hills, and by dark woods full of creeping thorns. And it was a long, long way. It seemed as if I was going on forever and ever, and I had to creep by a place like a tunnel, where a brook must have been, but all the water had dried up, and the floor was rocky, and the bushes had grown overhead till they met, so that it was quite dark. And I went on and on through that dark place. It was a long, long way, and I came to a hill that I never saw before. I was in a dismal thicket full of black, twisted boughs that tore me as I went through them, and I cried out because I was smarting all over, and then I found that I was climbing, and I went up and up a long way, till at last the thicket stopped, and I came out crying just under the top of a big bare place, where there were ugly grey stones lying all about on the grass, and here and there a little twisted, stunted tree came out from under a stone, like a snake. And I went up, right to the top, a long way. I never saw such big ugly stones before. They came out of the earth, some of them, and some looked as if they had been rolled to where they were, and they went on and on as far as I could see, a long, long way. I looked out from them and saw the country, but it was strange. It was winter time, and there were black, terrible woods hanging from the hills all round. It was like seeing a large room hung with black curtains, and the shape of the trees seemed quite different from any I had ever seen before. I was afraid,